Hi, I'm Kelly,
I'm Allison.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Kristen.
and this is Fear and Wine. Hi, welcome to Fear and Wine. We are a podcast about horror TV shows, movies, and more, and we pair each watch with the perfect glass of wine to enjoy. We are covering Welcome to Derry right now, and we are on episode 6 of season 1, and the name of this one is In the Name of the Father. We're going to start to get a little bit of background of why Pennywise is Pennywise in this one, and then in the next one we get even more answers to that. But before we start, we do have kind of an exciting announcement. We might have a special guest coming on. We are going to do a special Oscars episode coming up the week before. It'll be the week before the Oscars, which I think is on the 15th. If I'm wrong about that, then it might be after the Oscars and it would just be coming at a weird time. But we're still going to do one because there are 4 different horror films nominated for Oscars this year. We have Weapons, Sinners, Frankenstein, and The Ugly Stepsister. And I've seen 3 of those so far, so I still do have to watch Frankenstein. But it's kind of horror films in the Oscars is kind of an anomaly. It doesn't really happen too often. So we definitely wanted to celebrate that there's so many. And Sinners has like a ton of
I'm so
nominations.
excited for that.
So we're very excited about that.
I just can't wait
I
to
love.
see what
I haven't
Michael
seen
B.
the others,
Jordan's
but
wearing.
I love seeing. Yeah, I love Sinners.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
But,
I just sorry.
You didn't watch Weapons? Allison did. That's right.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
What'd you think about about Weapons, Allison?
It was, doing it here first helped
Yeah.
a lot, but it was good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And The Ugly Stepsister is gross. It's on Shudder, and I watched. It's funny, but it's not so much scary as much as it is just like horrifying the stuff this girl does.
That seems weird, like a weird one-off for them to pick like a weird, obscure Shudder film.
The fact that Shudder's getting Oscar noms is insane to me now, but I kind of love it.
I don't know because I think it's French. I think it's foreign. So I don't know if it started on Shudder or that's just where we can watch it now because that's where I saw it. Who knows? I'm going to have to look into that more. But I definitely watched it, and there's just a tapeworm scene that's wild. It's that kind of gross. Like not even like gore, blood and guts, but just nasty.
Body horror, which I do not like. See,
that's or you might not. Yeah, you might not like it. but it did make me laugh. But yeah, that's good. So today's question we have, and I kind of stretched for this one because this one's not too much scary stuff happens in this episode. It's more of a like getting through the storytelling part of it. But at the very end of this episode, there's a couple sitting outside late at night and they hear a sound in the distance coming from the woods that scares them. And they quickly figure out almost immediately what the sound is, but it just startles them for a second. But it made me think that if you are alone in the woods or with a small group of people late at night, what is the scariest or last sound you would want to hear coming towards you?
Well, my first thought is a voice, a person.
Like someone I know, especially, or like a baby, like those mimics or whatever they're called. They scare the shit out of me.
I would be scared of someone you know coming. You would hear like someone
that
calling
shouldn't be there. Yeah, but that should not be in the woods. Like,
what
are those things? Is the things called mimic? What are they called? Those things that in Appalachia that they talk. Yeah, that scares the shit out of me. They haven't done enough movies with that as a horror element because the mimic thing in the woods up there.
Find some.
That scares me.
Weren't they in the Hunger Games?
Those are mockingjays. Those are birds.
Well, I mean, it's a version of it.
Oh, I thought the mimic was some sort of like
It's in like Native American lore. They say that there's like evil
like a
things that live in the
creature.
woods that like they lure you by mimicking children or babies crying or someone you know's voice.
But Mockingjays did the same thing, kind of. They mimicked other voices.
That's true.
I didn't watch that.
I mean, ravens and stuff. Out. I don't know where we have ravens, but like if you've ever heard a raven speak, they really can sound like a person or anything.
It's kind of scary.
It's insane how crazy they can talk.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so that would be scary to hear because you would think you were listening to an actual person. But I wasn't even thinking about from that perspective of it being a mimic. I was thinking just like a person at all, like a killer in the woods or something like that. I mean, because a sound, I could be like, oh, that was a twig, or oh, that was just an animal, or something. I could explain it away. But if I heard a voice talking to me or speaking or sounding threatening, like that would terrify me. That would scare me. So
I mean, okay, interesting.
I don't know.
I did not go with I feel like a voice would be the least scariest
Really?
thing. Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
it's I
Interesting.
don't know. Allison, what did you put? Because I was way off from her.
Anything, just any sort of heavy footsteps, and it could be in coming 4s, 2s,
Mhm.
1, just because it could be Bigfoot, it could be a
Just one
bear, it
hopping
could
on
be
one foot.
just you
I was gonna
never
say
know. It
with
could be
one.
just a heavy-footed flamingo. I don't know, but I don't need to hear it. As all I know is it didn't come with me, so I don't need it to come
Right.
back with me either.
Oh, wow.
I still have to
Well,
hear
I
heavy-footed flamingo.
You never know.
The big giant one from the Tampa airport.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, what did
I
you say then, Kelly?
Well, I mean, I went with the same thing of something that shouldn't be there.
Uh-huh.
So I guess I mean an animal hearing like a growl or an animal coming towards you would be terrifying because if you can't see it, but also it's supposed to be there. So I think even scarier for me. First thing I said was chainsaw. Like if all of a sudden I just heard a chainsaw start
Whoa.
up,
Okay.
Mhm,
that
I would
would
already be
that would
running.
scare me.
Yeah,
I would do
I would
it.
be running. Like there's no. Mm-mm. I don't do those
But
in haunted
even
houses. None of it. I'm
right.
sorry, but
Right.
no.
That's yeah, I don't want to hear all this, especially late at night. It's like you're not doing any woodworking. Stop. Why
Yeah.
are we yeah, why is a chainsaw out there? But also something that like really shouldn't be there. I guess I assume if you're in the woods, other people could theoretically be around. So I guess like a voice wouldn't scare me. But like
True.
something that's truly not supposed to be there, like a sudden marching band starting up
Hmm.
would be just terrifying.
I
Or
might be
even worse,
drawn to the
like
marching band. They might be able
I
to get me with
know.
that.
Be
Yeah.
like,
don't
why
know.
is
I
there a
would
drum beat?
Right, I would there yeah, I don't wanna hear any drums all of a sudden, and then what about, like, an animal that shouldn't be like, if I all of a sudden heard, like, a humpback whale song, I'd be like, "Why? Why
Right.
is
right.
this" like, I should
Mhm.
not be hearing this in the woods.
Uh,
Well, and that's
Yeah,
why when I
that
say
makes sense.
voices, I'm saying a voice that shouldn't be there. Like your
right.
mom's at home in another state and you're hearing her voice coming
Gotcha,
from the woods,
yeah.
or a baby or a
No, that makes
child that shouldn't
sense.
be by
Yeah.
themselves out
Mhm.
at night. So, yeah.
Because that's, like, clearly trying to lure you. I can't
Yes.
necessarily say that
Yeah.
humpback whales is trying to talk to me because I don't understand know what they're saying, but also I shouldn't be hearing them in the woods.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I would
So,
agree that would definitely
Yeah, that
yeah.
would just be scary in and of itself, just
yeah.
the
Mhm.
whale sounds in the woods, but
Yeah, because it's like, oh, it's a pretty sound. Like you like marching bands and that sound, and then whale singing,
Mhm.
elsewhere. But it's like, but why now?
Like
That's
in
what
the
would
ocean.
upset
I don't
me.
know if it
Yeah.
was an HBCU marching band, I'd probably go towards it.
That's
Go
what I
towards it.
said.
Yeah,
I would want some
they might be able to
entertainment.
help. Because you know how they say when like black people run, you just start running. If I feel
Yeah.
like if it's an HBCU band, I'm going because we're all
You're
going to
running
get out of
towards the
this
van.
together.
Yeah, like
Yep.
maybe they're
Okay.
signaling to you like they're there to help you.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume it's some sort of ghost band or something. And I don't want any
Honestly,
part of it.
like loud sounds are they freak me out. Like when I'm overwhelmed and like or I feel scared in a movie or something and it's loud, I like just my instinct is to cover my ears. So a
Like a
band in the woods
startling
would
kind of
probably
large sound.
yeah, very that
Yeah.
would be
Mhm.
startling when I think about it. But the
There's
chainsaw, you're
y-
right. I would hate that. I would
Yeah.
absolutely hate that.
Have any of you come across on social media? There's a few different like states or cities around the country where people regularly hear these like loud booming sounds at night and nobody has been able to
Yes.
explain or figure out
Really?
why.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's
I
I
weird.
haven't heard about
have.
that.
I have
Yeah.
heard that. And there's one specific place that had it a lot. Like people were
Yeah.
calling the cops and stuff. And I don't
And
remember where
different
that
people have
was.
videos of it where you can hear it in the middle of the night and it
Hmm.
sounds like sonic booms almost. Like it's crazy.
Hmm.
So, I don't know.
Huh, but like regularly. That's
Yeah,
huh.
regularly. Yeah, very like
That's so weird.
way too regularly. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it sounds
I'll
like an
send some
earth
stuff to you
sound.
because it's yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
please
it's
do.
coming
I'm
from in the
interested in that.
ground almost or something,
Right.
if they said.
Or like
Yeah.
in the atmosphere of somehow.
Oh
Or like
man,
there's a
I'd
battle
immediately
going on
think,
in the sky
yeah,
kind of thing.
Right.
Mhm.
I'd immediately think like Titans or kaiju, something. Something's coming
Yeah.
up from
Ooh.
the earth like Godzilla.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Hmm
Let's go.
It's just been
I'm ready.
working
It's
its way
I mean,
out.
that's the
Yep.
next thing that will logically happen at this point.
Of
So,
course, yeah. At the rate we're
Mhm.
at, exactly.
yeah.
That's what's coming now. They're gonna realize, oh, all those monsters were real. Here
Yeah.
they
The
come.
Leviathan. Yeah. Let's
Yeah. You'll
go.
Hmm
see it on the news and be like, I knew it. And then
Yeah.
change it back to whatever you were watching.
Exactly.
We're all so desensitized. Yeah. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
hmm
It's probably
Exactly. And then be mad that
AI.
it cut off whatever we were watching
Oh,
to
yeah.
The
tell us
Traitors
this.
finale. They come in and
Yeah.
Yeah.
tell
Like
us
what?
that.
They're like,
I'd be
this could
so
have
mad.
waited. If we're all gonna die anyway, we could have waited. I just
Exactly.
need
Let
to
me
see
get
who
the
wins.
exactly.
We paired this episode of Welcome to Derry with Magic Box Pinot Grigio. This vibrant white wine has expressive notes of fresh fruits and a hint of white flowers. This well-balanced and full-bodied Pinot Grigio pairs well with chicken, grilled fish, such as salmon, and soft cheeses like brie. Enjoy! For more information about us and all of the wines that we feature, visit our website at fearandwine.com. And make sure you follow Fear and Wine wherever you listen to podcasts so that you don't miss a new episode. And if you like us, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Thanks. Episode 6 of Welcome to Derry, called In the Name of the Father. This episode starts out at Juniper Hill Asylum in 1935. It's all in black and white, and we see a little girl with a cute bob haircut. She's probably about 5 years old. She's asleep in bed, and there's a thunderstorm going on outside. The girl is then woken up by a housekeeper who comes over and taps her on her shoulder and signals for her to get up but be quiet. The little girl and the housekeeper sneak quietly through the halls, and as they turn a corner to go down into the basement of the building, the little girl stops in her tracks and tells the woman, "I don't want to go." The woman reaches out her hand and tells the girl there's nothing down there. Don't be afraid. The little girl reluctantly takes her hand and lets the woman lead her to the basement. On the way down, the woman asks the girl what her name is, and the girl says her name is Mabel. They get down to the basement in the boiler room area, and the woman asks Mabel, "Is this where the clown told you to meet him?" Mabel doesn't answer and looks around nervously, and then she spots a red balloon floating above them in the air. The woman and Mabel watch as the balloon begins to float down the hallway, and Mabel begins cowering and shaking in fear, and she's holding on tightly to the woman's arm. Mabel turns to leave and tries to take the woman with her, but the woman keeps Mabel's hand and tells her, it's fine, there's nothing to be afraid of, it's just a balloon." The red balloon gets down the hall to a doorway, and then it stops moving. And in a sudden movement, we see Pennywise appear in the door and grab the balloon. Mabel gasps and hides behind the woman, and the woman just looks at Pennywise with curiosity. The screen goes black, and the opening credits begin. After the credits, we're with Will, and he's a little zoned out, and he's sitting in the kitchen listening to his father yelling at him about being down in the sewers and how everything that went on down there that cost his best friend his life is all Will's fault. Charlotte tried to intervene and get Leroy to calm down, but Leroy tells her that you don't understand how serious this is, because whatever this thing is, it can change shape and form, and it plays mind games, and it killed several trained soldiers. Will speaks up and tells his dad, "Yeah, I know, we're well aware of that. This thing has been chasing us, me and my friends, for a long time, and it's not going to stop." Leroy says, "Well, it can't touch you outside of Derry." And so Kristen mentioned in the last episode how they lived inside of Derry, but now they've moved to the base, which is just outside of the city. So he says, "You can't get out of Derry, so from now on, you're just not going to leave this house without my permission." Will stands up to his father and defiantly says no. His friends are counting on him, and he's not going to leave them, just like you wouldn't leave your friends. And Leroy yells at Will, "You're not me." And then Will sassily responds, "I know, because I'd never let my friends die."
Oh,
That's rough.
Well, he shouldn't have been blaming it on Will in the first. Like, you don't blame that on your son either. So he deserved that. I felt like back from.
Yeah, I think he was just like, you weren't supposed to be down there.
Yeah, I
type of
know,
thing.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't blame the death on it. It was just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Yeah.
Exactly.
But for that smartass comment, Leroy slaps Will like a soap opera actress, and Will goes flying across the floor. Charlotte screams out at Leroy, and Will picks himself up off the floor. He's fine, but he's crying. And Leroy immediately feels awful. He
Have any of
immediately
you ever been slapped
apologizes.
across? I'm sorry. I was going to ask if any of you have been
Yeah.
slapped across the. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
By your
Yeah,
mom?
I mean, that's what I
It
didn't think
must
that
be
was
by your
odd.
mom.
Yeah, I didn't think that was odd at all. Had I said something that shitty to my mom, I'd have gone flying across the floor probably
Oh,
too.
yeah.
For
Oh,
sure.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait,
no, that
yeah.
was called for. There's nothing wrong with it.
My mom slapped me across the face one time, and I accidentally, my arms shot out and pushed her, and she landed on her ass in the back, and she never did it again after that.
Yeah, that was intense.
Oh no, that just would have
That
been
was-
more
that
fuel.
was-
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't.
If she had ended up on her ass.
What about you?
I wouldn't dare hit back. Yeah, because I already know.
No, I didn't do it on purpose, though. It was like a
Oh yes,
it was
It's an
reflex.
automatic
It's like
response.
reflex,
I get it.
yeah.
Reflex.
yeah.
Yeah.
Leah, you
Yeah.
ever been slapped in the face?
Not in the face. I mean, I can count on
That's
one
good.
hand how many times I've been spanked, I guess. But there was one specific time I remember my mom leaving a handprint on my butt, And just like
Ooh.
looking at it in the mirror, like I could count each one of her fingers on my butt cheek. But it was, I mean, I was just never, I didn't like to get in trouble a lot. I didn't like,
You were a
I
good
didn't,
girl.
I was a good girl.
Yeah,
So
Leo's probably a good kid.
Yeah.
I remember one time actually my mom coming home in like high school one time and she said, if the worst thing you're going to do is talk back to me, like I'm okay with that. Because that day she had heard some stories at home or at work of, mothers and their teenage daughters and the fights that they were having and they got physical and stuff. And she was like, if that's the worst that's going to happen is you're going to talk back to me, then I'm okay with it. And you're a good kid. And I was like, well, thank you.
Aw.
So she did say there were a few years in there where I was a monster and she didn't know who I was, but then I came back around. So
Yeah. That's just
But no,
that's just a teenager.
that's just a teenager.
Yeah.
But
I'm
no,
sorry to
never been
interrupt. I
slapped
was
in the
just
face.
curious if
Oh,
any
you're
of us
fine.
had ever
You're fine.
experienced that moment from a parent getting
No.
slapped in the face. Because I do. I'll never forget the moment because I absolutely remember the exact place it
Yeah.
took place and all of that. So yeah. Okay.
And
Kelly,
see,
you
I
Kelly
have
was
to,
so fast with it, though. I
can't.
knew.
Well, I
She's
can't
like, yeah, all
remember
the
the
time.
moment because it happened. Yeah, it was probably definitely more than once. But I couldn't even
Oh.
tell you what the moment was or what it was about. But I know I was probably saying something I shouldn't have been saying. So
Well,
I
being
will
on the
never.
mom side, I can. I'm confused how it doesn't actually happen more often. I mean, I'm not advocating for it by any means. I'm just saying, like, there are so
Yeah.
many times when your kids just do things
It's
that
time
you want
to, for
just
sure.
choke
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. And,
Yeah.
moms aren't perfect, and moms lose control sometimes. But
Well, and it was much more acceptable to slap kids in the face,
sure,
back
probably
then,
90s
sure.
and prior than it is now. So
yeah,
it's
Mhm.
just,
before
Yeah.
2000, this was
yeah.
and that
Yeah.
and that was probably the last time. It was definitely in high school. Was the last time anything had happened. So
hmm
Yeah. I watched kids get slapped in the face in elementary school by the nuns. So,
Oh, that's awful.
oh, they smack children in
oh
the face. Kids
Yeah,
got
they're-
their heads banged into concrete walls. I watched them
yeah,
get
it's
Oh
just
their
my
mouth
normal.
taped.
It was normal to hit
Mhm.
kids back in those days.
Oh,
But you know what? All
It's a
those kids are
free-for-all.
probably better off for it.
They might be.
Listen, I believe it too, Al.
I mean, these kids are they are definitely don't have the discipline and yeah, I think you might be right, Allison. Maybe there needed to be a little bit more
It's not,
something.
it's not right. There
Maybe not a
should be
full
a happy
slap in the
medium.
face.
A
but
little in the
yeah.
in the middle
There's
somewhere. But
a midpoint of maybe not talking everything through and maybe not physical
gentle
hitting, but there's
parenting for
something.
everything.
Discipline
Like the
still
chokey
needs,
from
yeah.
Matilda.
Just putting him in a torture device.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. An Iron Maiden.
You've
Yeah,
never
the
read
chokey.
Matilda, that little box she would put
I
kids
don't
in, like the.
It was like an Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
It had
An Iron
spikes in
Maiden,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. I don't think I ever read or watched any Matildas.
Oh.
So it's like a box, almost like think of
Okay.
like putting yourself in a coffin, but there's like spikes on either side, so you have to stand perfectly
Oh.
still if you
Yeah.
don't
Oh
want
my
to get hit.
gosh.
Or
I
you'll
didn't
get
know
poked.
Matilda was
Yeah.
like that. I thought it was like a sweet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they
Oh.
was putting everybody in the chokey.
yeah. Oh,
Oh.
the principal was
The
putting
principal
everybody.
Oh, I
was,
need to
yeah.
watch
Yeah, the
this.
kids were all
Okay.
adorable and sweet. Yeah, Miss
It was one of my
Trunchbull,
favorite
she
books.
was she
Oh
was
yeah,
messed up.
she was really messed up. Yeah, she would make kids like eat cake till they threw up.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
She was rough.
She's swinging by their pigtails.
Oh, yeah.
throwing them across.
Oh,
The,
okay,
yeah,
I
'cause
need
she
to
was,
watch this.
she was
I'll
practicing
relate.
her shot put.
Corporal punishment, I will relate. So, okay. All
You're
right.
gonna
Thank you
come
for
out on
that.
the
I'm
other
sorry, I
end
didn't
and be
mean to
like, I really like
get
that
us off the.
Trunchbull lady.
All
All of a sudden, you go to Kristen's, she has a chokey in her house. You're like, what?
I know, right? I built it myself. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, and I digress. I'm sorry I took us completely off from.
No, that's
Welcome to
okay.
Derry.
Well, see, but Charlotte, even though it's what are we in the 60s? She seems to know that this is wrong because she's
not
really
okay.
upset
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's yelling at her husband, and Leroy, like I said, Leroy does feel bad immediately. So it's clearly he's never done this before. So he apologizes to his son, and Will tells his dad, "It's gotten to you too. It's gotten in your head." And Leroy tells him, "No, it hasn't." And he tries to hug his son, but Will tells him to just get away, and he runs out of the house. Will gets on his bike, and he leaves the base and is biking through Derry. As he rides through town, we see these posters of missing children all over the walls and windows and buildings of the town, and also a poster of the missing quote-unquote child killer, Hank Grogan. And so this is done kind of as a mini little montage to music, and we see people gathering around looking at Hank's poster, and they're getting themselves all worked up into a frenzy, and we see this group of men getting together with guns and drinking, and they mean to find Hank themselves and take care of him. The montage ends, and the kids are up in their tower hangout, and Ronnie is staring sadly at a poster of her missing father. And the others are off to the side, and they're looking at that star shard protection weapon thing that Kristen talked about last episode that Lilly found in the sewer, and it saved her from Pennywise. They're trying to figure out what it is and what it does. They decide that if the monster really is scared of this thing, then maybe they can take it back to the sewers with them and kill it. Ronnie speaks up and tells Lilly, "You really are crazy if you think that we're going back into the sewers looking for that thing because it almost killed them." And then Lilly gets angry at Ronnie for calling her crazy, of course, so that's her trigger word. And she begins to grip the weapon like she might use it to fight Ronnie. So this weapon seems to have heightened Lily's emotions a little bit. There's something in it that's kind of making her maybe react a little stronger than she normally would.
It makes me think a little bit about From with the talismans. Like, I feel like they should find a way to break it up and put it, like, at the entrance so he can't get
Oh,
out or
yeah.
something. But then I guess you'd have to put one at, like, every single sewer grate in the entire city. That probably wouldn't
Well, that's what
be
that's what
feasible.
the ancient people kind of did when they buried all those
Right,
pieces of it
right.
to keep him in. Yeah. Marge notices Lily's demeanor changing and she tries to take the weapon from her, but Lily freaks out and screams at her not to touch it, and she backs away from the group. Lily tells Ronnie, "I didn't want this. If I could go back, I'd have never come to your house in the first place. You were up in that booth. You didn't see it. I was the only one who made it out of that theater. And when Maddie came back and told me there was a chance Phil was still alive, what was I supposed to do?" And Ronnie angrily agrees with Lily and yells at her, "If you hadn't come to my house, they would all still be alive and my daddy wouldn't be hunted by the police." So the two of them argue for a little bit, both making excellent points, with Lily insisting that she was only trying to help and Ronnie saying that they should have never let Lily out of Juniper Hill. And that's when Richie speaks up and says, "Guys, this is what it wants. It wants to divide us and turn us against each other." Ronnie walks away in a huff, and Lily is sad and she asks to be left alone, while Will goes to check on Ronnie. Over at the Black military hangout spot, which they have taken to calling the Black Spot, Dick Halloran arrives after having been away for a bit. His friends ask him where he's been, and all he can say is, "I can't tell you." No biggie to them, but they do want to get his opinion on how he thinks the Black Spot is looking and if he likes what they've done with the place. They just really let that go very quickly. And they're like, "Well, what do you think we've done with what we've done?" So, and they say they plan to have some ladies over and some music and have a little party the next night. Halloran pretty much ignores them and just walks straight to where the booze is and looks for a drink. Seeing what he needs, his friend brings over a bottle to him. But as he's approaching, Halloran is scared when he looks down and he sees water starting to pool around his feet, and it's kind of reminding him of the sewer. But he quickly snaps out of it when he realizes it's just a leak coming from the icebox, and it's kind of making the wood under there a little soft. So he tells him, "You guys gotta fix this. It's causing a problem." Halloran takes that whiskey from his friend and he tells him he plans to drink this bottle and take a nap. He's going to drink the whole bottle. And as he starts to head back to the bedroom, one of the guys stops him and tells him there's a little issue with that. But before we find out what that issue is, we cut over to Ronnie and Will walking, and Will is just letting Ronnie vent about Lily and get it all off of her chest, and even come to her own realization that maybe she was a little too hard on Lily. Ronnie says that she's just tired of being so scared, and Will agrees, and the two of them hug. And that's when Will's mom finds them, and she pulls over in her car and honks at them and tells them to get into the car right now. They obey, knowing from Charlotte's tone that they are in a little bit of trouble. So going back over to the Black Spot, Halloran opens the bedroom door and he finds the wanted fugitive Hank Grogan. Halloran is not pleased to see this, and he tells the guys that they have posters and rewards all over town looking for this man. He can't stay here. Hank and the guys plead with Dick Halloran to let him stay. They say that Mrs. Hanlon asked to hide him here for a couple of days and that she has a plan to get him out of town. Hank promises Halloran he will stay out of sight and he won't leave that bedroom. Dick just says, "I don't need this shit right now," and he goes and walks out of the building. And as he's walking out, guess who walks into the Black Spot? Charlotte, Ronnie, and Will. Ronnie sees her dad right away and she is thrilled and she runs to him. The two of them have a sweet reunion while Halloran rolls his eyes. And Charlotte thanks Halloran for the favor and he just grumbles, "Leave me out of this," and he leaves. Back up in the tower hangout, Marge is alone and she has her first aid kit and she's about to change her bandage on her eye when Rich shows up. And he has his airplane that he's been trying to fly from the tower and get to land on Main Street. Neither of them thought anyone else would be there. Seeing what Marge is about to do, Rich offers to help her change her bandage and assures her that because he was once a Weebelo, he knows how to remove the bandage without it hurting.
That's
He's
so
so cute.
cute. That is so cute.
Marge warns him, though, it's pretty gross, but he doesn't mind. He has Marge sit down, and then he licks his thumb and wipes it on the edge of the bandage. And Marge's like, ew, gross. What are you doing? And Rich is like, well, if you wet the bandage first, it slides right off. Marge says, yeah, but not with your spit. And Rich is like, oh, don't worry. Saliva has antiseptic properties. And Marge is like, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. And Rich just shrugs and says, who knows? Science is constantly changing. And then he just licks his thumb and does it anyway. But he removes the bandage and tells Marge that her eye doesn't look gross at all. It's the coolest thing he's ever seen.
Uh-huh.
Marge takes it from there and she changes her own bandage while the two of them talk about what happened earlier with Ronnie and Lilly, and that they think Lilly might be right about the weapon being the only way that they can stop the monster, but they do have to all do it together. Before they leave, Rich takes his plane and gives it a strong throw off the tower, and the camera follows the plane as it glides down into the town, and then it disappears into a sewer tunnel, and the screen goes black. It fades back up, and we are with Dick Halloran as he is trying to drink away his terrors and worries. He's found on base in his barracks by Leroy, who can see he's drinking and he's not doing so great. Leroy hands him some new orders from Shaw, and he says, dead soldiers or not, he still wants to find those pillars. Halloran says if he were Shaw, he'd leave it alone before things get worse. Halloran looks over Leroy's shoulder, and we see a quick glimpse of a dead man that only Halloran can see with half of his head blown off. Leroy Hanlon asks him, Dick, what happened down there? You stayed in those tunnels for hours. Halloran tells him, this thing I got, it lets me see things, dead things. My grandma had some of what I got, not as strong though. She would notice that I wasn't sleeping, so she taught me this trick. She said to think of a great big old box and imagine putting all of the things you don't want to see anymore inside the box and then close it up. So I did. I took all the dead things and threw it in that box in my mind, and I shut that lid tight. I was 9 years old. And I haven't seen them since until yesterday when that thing forced itself into my mind and ripped that lid off and laughed as it all came spilling out. Leroy asks Halloran if the dead are still there now and if he can see them. And Halloran tells him yes. He says the dead always wander back to where they died, and it looks like one or two of them might have met their maker right here. Halloran tells Leroy as long as he doesn't pay any attention to them, they don't even notice that he's there. But if he speaks to them, then they will speak back and the voices won't stop. They know things we don't and things we aren't meant to know. Leroy asks if they know things like how to find what we're looking for. Halloran is basically like, yo, did you just hear anything I said? The voices won't stop if I speak to them. And Leroy tells him, I just buried my best friend and almost killed my son. So no disrespect, but you're a military man and this is the job. Just do it this one time and then you can put it all back away like you did before. Halloran asks him, okay, if I do that, what happens if I can't shove it all away like before? You don't know. And the thing is, you also don't give a fuck. This is all about what you want. Leroy says, it's about doing what's right. And Halloran does not care, and he walks off and calls Leroy, who is his superior officer, Shaw's bootlicker, and he screams at him to get out of his room. Leroy stands and looks at Halloran and tells him, you decide if you want to do your sworn duty or if you want to be dragged out in handcuffs. And Leroy leaves. Leroy goes home, and when he gets to his house, he finds his wife Charlotte packing up, and he asks where Will is. She tells him he's probably with his friends, who are about the only people he can trust right now, and that she doesn't blame him. Leroy tells her that what happened with Will this morning, that wasn't me. My head was all messed up because of what happened in that sewer, and he apologized to her. She hugs him, but she's still upset that he moved them out here to Derry and essentially put them in a cage with a monster. He didn't know about that, though, he says, and he's just trying to protect his country. Charlotte tells him, well, there are some other things that you don't know, because I have Hank Grogan hiding out at the Black Spot. Leroy is momentarily speechless. She tells him, go ahead and yell and scream, do whatever you want, because tomorrow I'm getting him out of here and out of Derry and somewhere safe, and then Will and I are going back to Shreveport with or without you. Leroy tells her he can't leave, he has a mission to complete, and she says, well, then I guess you'll just join us whenever you're ready to make things right with your son. And then she closes her suitcase and leaves. I love Charlotte. She just, when she makes up her mind, she's going to do it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Mhm.
She's not going to let anybody stop her.
over at Derry High, Lilly is sitting in class, and she's holding that star shard weapon in her lap. So she does not let this thing go since she found it.
They really need to put this in, like, a safe spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's pretty big. I mean, it's a decent-sized thing, but you're right. It could go in a backpack or something. It could go in some sort of
put
bag.
it somewhere you're not gonna drop it or break it or lose it. Something.
Right.
It's making me nervous.
So she's sitting there holding this weapon in her lap. She's having quick flashbacks to moments in the sewer. And then she hears a voice in her head, and it's the monster telling her things like, "You're such a bad daughter," and pretending to be Lily's father. Lily opens up her desk to take out her textbook, and as soon as she opens it, she screams because inside of her desk is that same pickled, deformed head of her father with the intestine-like tentacles that we saw in episode 2. And so I'm going to backtrack
Pickle
a little
dad.
because we never really explained the reason Lily sees her dad all brined and pickled in these jars as her fear. So we kind of just glossed over it real quick, but in episode 1, there's a scene where Lily explains to Maddie how her father died. And what happened is her dad worked at the jarring and canning factory in town, and they jar pickles there. Lily and her mom had gone to pick up her dad from work, and when they got into the car to leave, Lily realized that she had left her mood ring, her brand new mood ring. She dropped it at some point while they were in the factory. So she and her dad go back in to look for it. And while they're in there looking for the ring, something goes wrong with one of the large factory machines, and the workers are trying to fix it. Lily's dad heard this, and he offered to help and check out the gears and see what was wrong. So apparently this machine is big enough, I guess, for a person to crawl into it if they need to remove or fix something. So her father goes into it to fix it. And his coworkers thought that they had unplugged the machine, but they hadn't. So when he fixed the issue, the machine starts up, and her father ends up getting crushed and ground to death by the gears. And he dies this horrible, violent death right in front of Lily. She saw the whole thing.
That is such a stupid oversight. We thought we unplugged it. Well,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? There should be at least a few people checking to make sure.
Yeah, I would think there's some sort of protocol when you have to
Right.
climb into this machine. But
Where was Ausha?
right, exactly. So this is the trauma that got her sent to Juniper Hill the first time. So that's why the monster that Lily sees, her fear monster, is her fear and guilt is that of her father, because she feels like had she not gone back in to look for her ring, her dad wouldn't have been there to volunteer to help. So this pickled version of her father is in her desk, telling her that she's crazy, and Lily picks up the weapon and is yelling at the thing to get away from her. So now remember, she's in the middle of class, and she's the only one who can see this thing, so she looks crazy yet again. She is able to close her desk and make the monster go away, but her teacher is furious with her for disrupting class and tells her to get back into her seat. But instead, Lily just leaves the room. It's now lunchtime, and Marge and Rich are having lunch together. Rich is telling her that Ronnie found her dad, and that's why she's not in school today. Will said that he will take them there later, but they can't tell anyone. So for this fugitive to be hiding, a lot of people seem to know his stories.
Right?
Like, they're not keeping a
Kids.
tight lid on that. Yeah, we got kids knowing. I didn't-
I
I
thought
thought that was a little
thing,
weird.
actually.
It's
Yeah.
like, my life's on the line, and now part of the school knows. Like, that's just weird.
Right. Well, now that Charlotte told her husband too, it's like,
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
a
he has
lot of
time
people
to
know.
go find him if he wanted to.
Mhm.
And
Thank
it
God
is
this-
1962, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but like the idea of Will bringing little white children into the black spot, like I feel
Yeah,
like
it is.
they would be like, get these fucking kids out of here. Like I don't know.
Be like
Yeah.
sinners.
I mean, I love the whole scene that happens there, but
Yeah, of
you're right. It
course.
wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Rich and Marge, as they're talking over lunch, they mention that they both are hearing voices in the pipes in their bathroom. And Rich tells her that he's so scared that he now can't go into the bathroom to pee. So he's been peeing in a jar next to his bed.
Oh my gosh.
And Rich he's
Aw.
a little embarrassed to tell her that story, but she does make him feel better about it by saying, well, in the medieval times, everyone did that, even the knights. So that kind of makes him smile.
Listen, when I was little, I used to have to go visit like my dad's side of the family. I'd have to go stay for weekends over there, and my dad's mom and dad had a big farmhouse that had like you walked in basically on the second story, and then there were steps that immediately went down to the basement area, or steps that went up to like the main living area. And when I used to have to stay there at night, it was so scary. I would just hold it all night long.
Really?
And I'd have to pee so bad. But it was just that old, scary wooden farmhouse
Poor
vibe.
thing.
It was so
Yeah.
dark. And so now, it's like now I overcompensate. When my kids have to leave or they want to go stay somewhere, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? I'll ask them 100 times because I just
You
remember.
need to ask 100 times because they'll
I-
say no, and then they'll have to pee 5
Yeah.
minutes later when you
Yeah.
leave. So I
Yeah.
get it.
But it's just, I remember, I didn't pee in a jar by the bed, but that might have been a good solution.
Yeah, you should have done that,
I should
actually.
have.
It's easier
Right?
for boys to do it, though.
This is
Yeah.
true. This is true. But I got desperate.
I feel you.
So Rich kind of likes the little story she told him, and he has a gift for Marge now that he found in his house, and it's this leather eye patch that he said once belonged to a corsair, which is a pirate, back in Cuba. Marge loves it, and she puts it on right away. Just then, the Patty Cakes walk up to Marge and ask her if she's been avoiding them. Patty says everyone is still talking about how Lilly attacked you. All the while they're there, they will not look at or acknowledge Rich at all. Marge tells them that that's not what happened. So Patty says, well, why don't you join us for lunch at our table and tell us about it? Unless you'd rather eat with Ricky, Ricardo, and the other freaks.
That's a weird...
so rude.
That's a weird thing to call somebody. Like, he was handsome.
Well, Cuban. They just made the Cuban.
Yeah. They were being racist.
The connection they made,
Yeah,
they were, yeah. It's the 60s. It's on TV at the time, so yeah.
Right.
Marge stands up and looks at Patty and says, I'm a freak. And then she pulls off her eye patch, revealing that eye wound. And Patty and the Cakes scream, and they back away. And Rich looks at her in awe and admiration and love that she's just freaked these bitches out. Later, Marge, Rich, and Will bike over to the black spot to see Ronnie. The three of them need to convince Ronnie to join them to help them fight the monster again. Elsewhere, Lilly, who has left school, she rides her bike over to the house of her friend from the asylum, Mrs. Ingrid Kirsch. She knocks on the door, but no one answers. However, the door is unlocked, so she lets herself in. She hears music playing in the house, and she follows the sound up into the attic, all the while calling out for Mrs. Kirsch. Now, listen, even my best friends, when their door's unlocked and they know I'm coming over, I'll walk in, because maybe, like, it's like Kristen, sometimes you guys are like out in the patio or whatever, and you can't hear it. But if I open your door and I don't see anyone for a while and I'm calling out your name, I'll call you back. Like, I'll come later. I'm not just gonna keep wandering through your house knowing you don't know that I'm coming. Like, this is just a weird thing to do, I think. But this is what she does. So now Lilly is up in the attic, and she looks around and she finds an old photo album. She opens it up and sees old photos of Mr. and Mrs. Kirsch, like from their wedding and stuff. And she keeps turning pages until she sees another old photo of a man with a kind of peanut-shaped head and this receding hairline. That's what his head looks like to me. I don't know if you ever looked at its head, the clown's head. It looks like peanut-shaped. It's like an upside-down peanut. Yeah.
You're right.
So he has this receding hairline, and he's standing next to this little girl. And next to the photo are the words Cumberland County, 1908. And this is a picture of young Ingrid and her father. So incidentally, that mention of Cumberland County in the photo is a nod to the Stephen King book Salem's Lot, because the town of Jerusalem's Lot is in Cumberland County, which is not far from Derry, and that's where that story takes place.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow. Cool.
And there's something about this man's face, though, I guess it's probably the shape, like I noticed, that resonates with Lilly and makes her uneasy. Just then, Ingrid comes
the peanut-shaped head.
Comes upstairs to the attic.
What if Pennywise had decided to take the form of, like, Mr. Peanut?
Mr. Peanut? I think that'd be awesome. He's just always like with those teeth.
Wait, no, the Peanut didn't have the monocle. The Peanut didn't have the monocle.
Did have the monocle.
I don't think it did.
That's a Mandela
or was that
effect.
A Mandela effect?
No, it's a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
It is. I'm not sure which one, if it has it or it doesn't.
Did he have the cane?
Yeah, maybe he had the cane. He's just a naked peanut with a cane and like a top hat. I don't know.
I thought he had the monocle. You're right. We have to look it up because it must be in one of those Mandela effect things.
I think it is, yeah.
It is.
Okay. So Ingrid's now up there, and Lilly nervously tells her that the door was open, so she came on in. Ingrid says, oh, that's fine. I just wasn't expecting anyone. She can see that Lilly is nervous and asks her if everything's okay. Lilly tells her she's all right, but she mentions that they went down into the tunnels. And Ingrid says, I told you not to go. Lilly tells her that she saw Maddie, and then she cries and runs into Ingrid's arms. Ingrid comforts her, but as they hug, Lilly can now see even more old photos in this attic and things all around. And suddenly she spots a picture of Ingrid's father dressed up as a clown and looking an awful lot like the monster clown Pennywise. This terrifies Lilly. She breaks her hug and steps back from Ingrid, and she looks at her. Ingrid sees what Lilly was looking at, and her eyes get big, and she asks Lilly, have you seen him? Lily looks like she's about to bolt when Ingrid smiles and says, "You saw him." And she starts crying with joy and excitement. She says to Lily, "Oh, sweetheart, you did it. You did it. Of course it was you. You brought him back." And Lily backs away from Ingrid even more. And she looks around the room and notices more clown stuff. And she sees this wig headdress thing that she realizes is what she saw in that graveyard when they took that picture of the clown. And she asks Ingrid, "Did you follow us that night?" And Ingrid says, "Yes. I thought he might appear to you that night in the cemetery and that he'd show himself. I didn't want to miss him." Ingrid tells her that her father was a carnival performer that called himself Pennywise the Dancing Clown. She adored him, but he was taken from her. When the carnival moved on, she stayed in Derry. We then go to a flashback of Ingrid as a young woman in her 20s working in Juniper Hill when she overhears a little girl talking to her doctor about how she keeps seeing a clown named Pennywise. He talks to her through the pipes and tells her to go down into the basement. The doctor tells the little girl there's no such thing as clowns in pipes, and Ingrid watches as the little girl, who we now see as Mabel from the beginning of the episode, takes her medicine and the doctor leaves. It then cuts to that very last part of the opening scene. So now we know that that young woman was younger Ingrid, and she's taking Mabel down into the basement. And Mabel and Ingrid are looking at that red balloon in the doorway when Pennywise appears. Pennywise rushes towards them and stops and says, "Hello, Mabel. You finally came." And he hands her the balloon. Mabel is mostly hidden behind Ingrid at this time, but she reaches out and she accepts the balloon. Pennywise looks at Ingrid and says, "And you brought a friend?" Ingrid looks at Pennywise and whispers, "Papa?" So Ingrid has just lost it.
The way you did that little Pennywise impression was pretty good, Kelly.
Oh, I don't know. I can't do his voice at all, so I don't know.
Way better than I wouldn't even try, so.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. That was good.
Thanks. Pennywise gives her a confused look, and then he starts laughing at her. He looks back again at Mabel, and then in a flash, opens his mouth wide, revealing all of those razor-sharp teeth, and Mabel takes off running with Ingrid. And Pennywise is giggling and chasing behind them. Mabel trips and falls and loses her hold of Ingrid's hand just as they get to this sectioned off part of the basement with a door. Ingrid makes it into the room, but little Mabel does not, and the door automatically shuts and locks, and Ingrid can't get the door back open to get to Mabel. Mabel starts crying and begging for Ingrid to open the door, and Ingrid yells at what she still believes is her father to leave Mabel alone and not hurt her. Mabel screams and she does the only thing she can, and she just shoves her hand under the door trying to get to Ingrid. And Ingrid takes her hand and holds them as she cries and listens to the monster eating Mabel.
Oh, poor Mabel.
It's so sad. And then you see her hands just get dragged out of Ingrid's hand, and then a pool of blood appears underneath the door where Mabel's hands just were. Ingrid backs away from the door, and she just falls to the ground, and she's curled up on the ground crying, when suddenly she hears happy carnival music. Ingrid stands up and sees her father. So now it's her father. There's no clown makeup on. It's just the man with the weird-shaped head looking at her
head, yeah,
through the window with the peanut head and balding at the top, looking at her through the window, and he says to her, "Pumpkin, it's me, Papa. How I've missed you all these years. Don't be scared. I can explain everything. Just open the door and let me in." Ingrid walks to the door to her father, and she opens it. And she gets this peaceful, happy look on her face. And then the image of young Ingrid fades back into the present day one, and she finishes telling Lily the story. She believes that it really is her father. He's just different and maybe changed by whatever he had been through or wherever he had been. But a daughter knows, and that was him. Since that day, she has been trying to free her father from whatever shadow it is that has a hold of him. She thinks if he could just see her as Periwinkle, which was her little clown personality back in the day, then he could break free. Lily begs Ingrid not to hurt her or her friends, and Ingrid tells Lily she would never hurt her, but she can't really make the same promise for her friends. She says to Lily that she should understand, surely you'd do anything to see your father again. And Lily says, "My father is dead." Ingrid responds, "You know what they say about Derry, no one who dies here ever really dies." Ingrid reaches out her hand to Lily, like she's meaning to take her somewhere and show her something. But then Lily pulls out that star shard weapon and slashes Ingrid's hand with it and runs out of the house. Back over at the black spot, the kids are talking to Ronnie, and Ronnie is insistent that she is not going anywhere with them or anyone until she knows her dad is safe. Ronnie walks away and Will goes after her, leaving Rich and Marge standing around as the music in the place starts playing and more people are showing up to party and drink. So this is where it does look weird. There's like these two white kids and there's all these black adults and they're just kind of hanging out, partying with them, like just standing around with them. And things are starting to pick up and even Marge says, maybe we should get going. But Rich is loving the vibe and he's like, nope, we're staying right here.
Aw.
But back in the bedroom, Will is talking to Ronnie and her dad, trying to convince them both that Ronnie needs to help them. Her dad says that she can't go back down there with them, but he does like Will and likes that he cares about his daughter. And he wants to get to know him better. He asks Will what his favorite movie is, and Will says that he likes War of the Worlds. Hank is impressed by that and tells him that it's a great answer. Hank says that he is a bright young man, and if anything were to happen to him, it's good to know that someone of Will's character is looking out for his daughter. Over in town, the angry white men have all gathered at the bar to discuss their plan for finding and dealing with the Hank Rogan situation. They suggest that he could be hiding in the sewer system. One guy says, tomorrow we should get some more people and maybe even the Boone brothers and some dogs and go looking. And again, the Boone brothers is another nod to Jerusalem's Lot because they were residents there. Police Chief Clint Bowers then walks in and tells them that Hank is not in the sewers and he's not at the rail yard. He knows exactly where Rogan's hiding. He says a lady called in a tip. She didn't leave her name, but considering the nature of the place she was talking about, it's a pretty safe bet that that's where he is. One man asks Clint, so are you going to arrest him? And Clint says, well, that's where we have a problem. Because when the tip came in, I was cleaning out my desk because the mayor had just relieved me of my duties. They've lost confidence in my ability to serve and protect. So no, I can't arrest him. Wink, wink. So he's like, we can't arrest, but we can go do something. Back at the black spot, the party is in full swing when Halloran returns, and he seems to be in a better mood now. Marge and Rich walk up to the bar and ask for a Coke. And I did notice that they use the word Coke.
Yeah. What you were telling us about being in like
about the
world.
brands and stuff because it shouldn't exist in this world. But they don't. You don't see the logo or any products. I think that might have just been an oversight due to a portion of our country using the word Coke the same way another portion used pop and soda.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it was just them just saying something.
I do feel like I say that. Like I'll say I'll have a Coke, but I really do mean like I specifically
whatever
want a
cola they
Coke or
have.
Pepsi.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like,
there's
I
a
wouldn't
certain
say
section.
Coke and refer to like
I
Pepsi or anything.
I don't either, no.
I only want the Coke.
I mean, I do, but I will take Pepsi if it's my
I won't.
only.
Yeah, I
You
think
won't
it's like
take- really.
I think it's an East Coast thing to say Coke. Midwest is pop. West Coast is soda.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I don't know. But
We
then
said
you
pop.
specify under
We
that.
said
I
pop
said pop.
when I grew
Yeah,
up.
we
So
said
now
pop.
but I switched it to soda when I went to college because everybody would make fun of my accent when I said pop. They said I said pop because in Michigan they say pop like with an
I
pop.
was gonna say it's a Michigan thing. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
because
like
I
when you
said
guys are
I grew up saying
saying
pop.
when you are saying the title of the show and you say "Welcome to Derry," to me, I would say like Derry because
Yeah, because of your
in New England, that's kind of how they say it. Like
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but
It probably is
so
pronounced
to
that
me,
way there.
it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
like
like
the name.
dairy, like dairy cows.
Yeah, honestly. And I did the same thing, Kristen. When I moved to California, everyone said soda, so I switched it to soda. Now that's what
Yeah.
I say. But in the
Yeah.
Midwest,
Yeah.
it's still pop. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Our dad still says pop, though.
I like that
So,
word.
but
for
either
it,
way,
nostalgic.
the bartender doesn't give them a Coke or any kind of cola. He hands them 2 whiskeys on the rocks.
What?
Marge, because that's what they have. Marge smells it, and she says to him, "Something's wrong with this Coke." And he says, "Nah, that's just an Air Force Coke."
That's cute.
And Rich says, "It tastes funny." And the bartender says, "That's the taste of freedom, son." And they take another sip, and Rich says, "Freedom tastes weird." Will now joins up with Rich and Marge out in the crowd and tells them that Ronnie won't budge on her decision. She's not leaving her dad. And then I love this part, but it makes 0 sense. From out of nowhere and with 0 context anywhere in this show from which to draw this conclusion, a man from the band walks up to Rich and says to him, "Hey, Sticks, you play?" Meaning the drums. And Rich says, "A little." It's so cute, but it makes no sense.
It really, yeah, it's
Hey,
adorable,
It
but
really is.
insane.
It's adorable. And the
So
man
cute.
and the man says, "This again, these are only kids in the place, all adults." The man says, "We're about to play, but our drummer is indisposed." And then we see the drummer passed out on the couch drunk. And he says to Rich, "What do you say? You want to sit in?" And Marge encourages him. We've never heard that Rich plays the drums anywhere in the show. Or seen him even like drumming a beat on his lap or nothing.
That's so funny.
It's so random, but it's so cute. So
Hey,
Marge,
Sticks.
yes, hey Sticks. He's just like he's
Nobody's
got a
called him
nickname and
Sticks
everything.
once. Yeah.
At
The
once.
fact that
He's already got a
nobody is
nickname though.
concerned that they're children, like
No, everyone's acting like it's
No.
completely normal for two
It's a
like
full
a bunch of
nightclub
little
at
white
this point.
children. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's already a full nightclub. We got and
drunk
they're
on
drinking
Freedom
whiskeys.
Cokes.
Yeah, they got
Oh,
whiskeys
wow.
on ice, and they're just having a great time. So Marge tells him, go play. And the man hands Rich a set of jazz brushes and asks if he knows how to use these. And Rich takes them and he grins. And then it fades out and fades back in, and Rich is on the drums playing my all-time favorite American jazz standard called It's Only a Paper Moon, written by
Oh.
Harold Arlen. And he's just killing it.
Yeah,
He
like
is
he is
just-
professional.
like-
Like
Exactly. Like he's been playing for years.
He's an
And
old
plays in a
soul.
band. Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah, he's doing
it's
so
adorable.
great.
It really is adorable. Though. I mean, as
It is.
it truly is ridiculous. Like first of all, there's just no way this kid would be able to play. But you just don't care because he's so cute. You're
He's
like,
so cute. He pulls it off.
"Oh,
Yeah.
take the
But
whole
it's just
thing,"
like,
yeah.
what is this scene? Like,
Right. Why did of all the people in this building, why did this man go up to this tiniest kid in the room
Yeah,
and just
right.
call him Sticks and say, "Do you play like?" Rich wasn't even looking at the drums. Like it makes no sense.
Something about this kid tells me he can play.
Exactly. So, but he does kill it up there, and he's having the best time. He even gives himself a big drum solo, and
Yeah.
and then suddenly Marge is smitten. So they
my
have their little
gosh.
moment. It's so cute, but
It
like,
is
and the band's like,
adorable.
yeah, like he just also like this kid takes over the song and works in a drum solo that nobody asked for.
I'm just
and the
picturing
whole
them
band's
like,
yeah,
I'm picturing them walking up to like their band like name on a banner and scratching out whoever the previous drummer's name was and putting like Rich in the
yeah. Mm-hmm. They
Rich
might
in the
as well.
whatever.
They just gave Rich the band.
Oh.
So we check in quickly elsewhere in town, over up in her house in the attic. A delusional Ingrid Kirsch puts on her old periwinkle clown costume, and she looks at herself in the mirror, and she looks like a fucking idiot. There's really no other way to describe what she has on.
Yeah, it's
Just
it's
looks like an
crazy.
idiot. And then we're back to the black spot real quick. And this is where we're outside, and we see a couple sitting out there on picnic benches, and they're talking and flirting and having a cigarette. They hear a rumbling in the distance, and that startles them for a second, but then suddenly we see a bunch of headlights and what looks like about 10 cars now show up all at once. They immediately know something is wrong because they were not expecting this many people to show up tonight. The headlights blind them, and all at once a bunch of men get out of the cars, but they don't turn off the headlights. A few of the men walk towards the couple, and once their faces come into view, we can see everybody in the cars and everyone standing outside of the cars, and they are all wearing masks, and they are all carrying guns. And then the screen goes black, and that's the end. So something bad is about to happen.
Mhm.
Seems like it.
Yes.
I just don't understand
nothing
is-
crazy this episode.
Well, except for the drum part. That was a little.
The drum, well, yeah, and I guess the dad's head in the desk, but
Yes,
yeah, the drum was the best part.
Honestly,
Yeah.
every time I've seen or encountered pickles since we've discussed that, I've thought about that. I've thought
Pictured
about the
Pickle
pickle
Dad.
dad. Yeah.
Pickle
Yeah,
Dad.
yeah, yeah.
Have we shown you a
They
picture
did
of
make
him?
the Funko Pop.
I-
Well, I only sent them the Funko Pop
Oh, okay.
version. I
Yeah.
don't think I sent
Yeah.
them the real
Yeah,
version.
please send me the actual picture.
Okay.
Then you can picture that instead of the cartoon version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, way better.
Well, so what?
Yeah.
I'm confused because Ingrid, if she thinks this is her dad,
Mm-hmm.
she thinks that it's just something dark taking over her dad, making him eat children.
Yeah, I don't know if she thinks her dad is like possessed. She thinks it's her dad. I mean, it looks like her dad. And Pennywise, I mean, the it monster seems to really love this form. Maybe
True.
he always
I
wanted
think
to be a
he's
clown.
yeah, and I think he's using her and using
Mhm.
her devotion to her dad to kind of
Mhm.
get her to help him get kids,
Recruit kids and
kinda.
stuff. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I was suspecting at this time anyway. I don't know if
Mhm.
Does
it's
Pennywise
that
have an
bad, but-
island somewhere? It's starting to feel like that.
Well, he does have a place where he lives. Kristen will cover it next episode because we're gonna. So we start to learn a little bit of Pennywise choosing clown in this one, and then she
Mhm.
dives deeper into it next episode. You'll see
Okay.
exactly what
yeah,
happens to the
and
to
I
the
really
dad.
like that part too, where we get the
Mhm.
backstory of the dad because it really genuinely starts to explain why this entity ended up choosing this Pennywise to kind of because it's like why it could
Mhm.
be anything, so why stick with this certain
All these
image
years,
as much? Yeah. So it's good.
But that's it. So there's the next episodes, last two actually are pretty crazy, lot involved, but you'll learn a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
So
Oh, good.
Nice.
it's really good. So I'm glad we had this moment of levity in this one because we don't have too many more coming up.
If this show doesn't end with Rich doing a big drum solo, I'm telling you what, I'm gonna riot.
There's no justice in the world if he doesn't get one more
no
drum
justice.
solo.
No.
I almost want to. I might have to just clip out that scene and send it to you guys. It's so
Please
cute.
do.
Just from,
Yeah, it
just
really
from them
is. You know
ordering
what,
the
you
drinks
should.
to the playing
Yeah.
to playing it and send it to you guys so you can see it.
The drum scene is stinking adorable, but I mean, again, in my mind, the whole time, I'm like, this would never happen in
Yeah.
real life. But so cute that he pulls it off, and I just didn't
Mhm.
care that it was, you know.
I'm
It's
glad
very-
you noticed you had the same thought I did, Kristen. It's like, where
Yeah.
did this come from? Why all of a sudden is somebody asking this kid to play the drums?
Yeah, like he's Buddy Rich all of a sudden.
Yeah.
This guy just knows. Yeah,
It's
I don't
funny the
know. It's good, though.
juxtaposition of 1 second a child is being gruesomely, horrifically murdered, and then it's
Yeah.
this really cute little interaction between two of the kids. It's silly almost, and it's like, how did it?
They do that a
it's
lot
just-
in the
Yeah,
show.
I can tell. I like it though.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah. Me too.
That's good. It's a fun
Maybe
show.
you'll watch it.
Maybe.
I think you should. I think you should.
Yeah,
I
you
know.
should.
I think Allison could handle it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
Yeah.
If Allison
What,
watches
this?
it and tells
Yeah,
me
the show.
Yeah.
I
should.
watched the first episode last night.
You
Oh,
did?
you
you
did?
That was enough for now.
I'm about to say that's
Oh.
like as pretty much as crazy as it gets. If you can get through that,
I mean, it was crazy, and I said, "Oh well."
Weren't you
I
pissed when
get-
she
I
starts
get the
smelling her
gist.
fingers and the liver?
Yeah,
Didn't
that was
piss you- yeah.
disgusting. And then
That
that
made me
baby
so
was
mad.
just flying around everywhere. and
Yeah.
The kid got split
Chaotic.
in half. I said, no.
Did I do an okay job describing it at
Yeah,
least?
you
Like,
did, because I knew
okay.
what was going to happen, but still,
Okay.
when you actually see it,
The
it's,
visual, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll
The
keep
giving
going.
birth
though.
part is graphic. I mean, it is.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
I mean,
well, I'm
birth
glad you
is
checked it
gruesome.
out. You're not
Yeah.
going to continue. Is that what you
No, I
decided?
probably will.
Oh,
she'll,
good.
she'll take breaks between episodes.
I did. I
Listen.
think I had to put on, what did I have to put on? Oh, I had to put on last week's Below Deck after it because it was just
As a palate
it was too
cleanser.
much for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Like some sorbet after.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, you
Perfect.
need that with these. Well, thanks guys for listening today, and then we'll be back next week with the next episode. We're almost towards the end, but it's gonna get, like I said, it gets crazy, but it's really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Thanks,
forward to it.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.
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 For more information about our episodes, follow us on Instagram at Fear and Wine Pod. And if you have a fun discussion question that you'd like for us to answer on the podcast, send it to us at fearandwinepod@gmail.com.